Growth often hides in those moments that you want to avoid. The hard conversation, the missed target, the slow session, those plateaus. Or when those goals feel so far away. And here's the thing, little mindset shift for you today in today's podcast. The real opportunity isn't in escaping those moments, but it's really how you respond to those moments. Okay. So consider this. What if the obstacle in front of you is actually guiding you toward the next version of yourself? Ooh, really? I mean, the gap between where you are and where you want to be, I get it. It can be really frustrating. But consider this. Look at the progress that you've been making and think, hey, should I be further along? Shouldn't I be? You know, when you start paying attention to that, the tension isn't punishment. It's really feedback. It shows you what you're learning, what you're missing, what needs realignment, where to course correct. So when you shift your perspective, your perspective to, from what's lacking to what's growing, well, that gap, it becomes your training ground. Whoa. A lot of us, we don't consider going after a goal that way. But I have heard a goal is not to get, a goal is to grow. And if your goals feel out of reach or progress feels slower than you like, I'm going to encourage you to head over to talktoperry.com. I'm putting that down in the lower third for those of you catching this on video. And we'll clarify what's working, what's not, how to close that distance in a way that really feels just in alignment and in agreement for you and with who you're becoming and where you're at right now. So that's over at talktoperry.com. The Gap in the Gain. There's a book on that, and there's a lot of talk out there on that. But those are a pair of teachers. I think a lot of times we'll hear the gap and the gain. We'll think like, oh, I don't want to be in the gap. I do not want to be, in this space that I feel lost. But when you think about it, the gap can show you still what you want to experience. And the gain can remind you of how far you've already come. And I feel you need both. Without the gap, we often stop stretching ourselves. And without the gain, you stop believing. So the goal isn't to eliminate the gap. It's to learn from it. It's to close the gap. It's to make getting through things a little bit easier. Sometimes people will call it like a terror barrier of some sort. But just learning from it so that you can just be grounded in what you gain from it. So what if you ask yourself this? What if the obstacle isn't blocking me, but it's preparing me? I hear a lot of times I'll be talking with people and somebody will want to go after a goal and then something comes up. They react to it. They get off track. They get distracted. And they'll want to blame that situation for not being able to move forward. They'll say, see, something always happens. I want to go after something great. I know I can do it. And then something comes up. Oh my gosh, that is like the biggest opportunity for them. But they won't see it that way. They haven't built the belief. So what they'll do is they'll give their power away. They'll come back later in more frustration. And they won't look at it as, oh my gosh, something always comes up. Great. What can I learn from that so that when other things come up in my life, I am better equipped to respond to those rather than get into this reactive mode. When you start to change your belief around challenges or about a challenge, your energy changes. You start shifting, and this is a matter of awareness here, but you start shifting frustration and you start turning that into curiosity. You're turning your doubts into focus. That's when the growth actually begins. That feeling of resistance, it really doesn't ever disappear. You just get stronger at handling it. And each level of growth, as you grow and next level self, whatever that is, you're going to have new discomforts with that, new challenges. The difference here that I really want to drive forward today is that you stop seeing it as a signal to quit. So many people have gotten so good at becoming master quitters. So you don't look at it as a signal to quit anymore. You start seeing it as a sign that you're moving forward. That's what happened to me. I realized I was in that loop, that start and stop loop over and over and over again. I think I shared my story a couple podcasts ago where here I was going after I was the person that says see always something comes up. I was ready to get my workouts going. I was going to lose the weight. I was going to lose that beer gut. Then I rolled my ankle on one of the dogs left the bone on the stairway, rolled my ankle. Well, can't do that. Plus, I can't get started if I'm injured and we've got a holiday coming up and we always have a lot of food there. I better wait. And that was the big aha for me, realizing that something's always going to come up and I've got the opportunity here to procrastinate and wait for the right time, just like I always did. So I never ever got started. Or I could use what I have, get started anyway, figure out a way to modify, and start moving forward no matter what. That was a big shift for me. Now, you might not be in that spot. You may have already gotten that figured out. But just take a look at other goals that you maybe have in life that you're giving your power away to external circumstances, to saying, oh, something always gives. Maybe you're starting a weight loss program and then you're going until week 6. That's usually about the time I start to get the cravings and I self-sabotage. So you anticipate the self-sabotage instead of, oh, what if I just gave notice to that and said, here's an opportunity to blast past that. That's this time. I'm building momentum now, even when results aren't visible. You know, when you pause and reevaluate your progress, you start realizing something powerful, that you've already grown, that you can go through and do hard things. Start keeping a brag book of the amazing things that you've accomplished and the things that you've overcome. A friend of mine, she had me journal one time, and I thought this was brilliant. She was a mentor of mine. She gave the prompt of, how do you know what you know, and how did you come to know that? And I was like, well, gosh, that seems kind of out there. But I started reflecting back on my life, and I could see patterns of how I got to certain points and either broke through or I settled. And I could see that pattern. But I also learned what things I overcame and what things I've accomplished that maybe I've forgotten. You know, you've already shown resilience, adaptability, courage. You just haven't given yourself credit for it yet. So take the time, acknowledge yourself, give yourself credit for that. The gap isn't a threat. It isn't a threat to your progress. It's a sign that you're still in motion. You're still growing. The gain, that's the evidence that, hey, the work that you're going through and you're doing, it's working. And you don't need to chase motivation. You already know that if you've listened to this podcast at all. You just need perspective. So when you start measuring growth by who you're becoming instead of what you're missing, what you don't have, well, you'll stop fighting your path. You'll start using it. You'll close that distance between where you're at or where you are and where you want to go. So just know you can choose to use your power, take control, use your power of awareness, or you can let the excuses, giving up your external things to external circumstances, giving up your power, using justifications and rationalizations to where you won't say you're quitting. You'll just justify why you're delaying it. That's really draining your energy and your power. Decide and commit to yourself and your goals and choose to figure out new ways. Look at possibilities, gain perspective, learn, grow, and keep moving forward. You've got this, my friend. I'd love to hear your top takeaway from today. Drop that down in the comments. I promise I will reply. You absolutely rock, my friend. And as always, remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week. That's another Power Blast podcast in the books. Thanks so much for tuning in. And remember, when you are ready to recharge your battery, make sure you go to talktoperry.com. That's talktoperry.com. That's Perry. And I want to listen. I want to hear.
what's going on? I want to help you in that 15-minute call to recharge your battery and reclaim your power so that you're off and running and creating massive momentum toward your dream. Also, every day, I am delivering more motivation, support, tips, and strategies inside my free community with amazing people like yourself. And we are conquering the mindset and the fitness. I do 52 weeks of free training in there. Plus, I coach and I mentor people, as well as give you access to tons of resources and guides. It's called my Upside Down Fitness community because we work on a lot of mindset stuff, the inside stuff. And we're a fun group of people striving to make healthier habits in this awesome chapter of life. So make sure you get in there. I promise you'll absolutely love it. Just head over to upsidedownfit.com and you can get into the group. And hey, you would be an awesome friend if you get over to iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast and leave an honest rating and review for the Power Blast podcast. It helps awesome people like you find this show even faster, and that's who I'm looking for, awesome people like you. That's all I have for this week, my friend, and just to let you know, you absolutely rock. That's all I have for this week. I'll see you on the next Power Blast podcast, and always remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week.